Well, happy Friday before Sunday, before Memorial Day, everybody. I'm so glad you're with me this morning for our devotion. We are in Psalm 112, Psalm 112, and this is another short psalm, just 10 verses. And it describes, I think, here's how I summarize it. It describes the blessings, some of the benefits, if you will, of being righteous, and of having fear or reverence for God. The word righteousness in this particular psalm means really two things. One is to be right with God, and then secondly, to do what is right in the eyes of God. So when someone is righteous, it means you are right with God and you are doing what is right in the sight of God. Fears the Lord. That's talked about in this psalm and elsewhere in Scripture. The word translated to fears here, means in Hebrew, it means to fear, to be afraid, to stand in awe of someone, to reverence or honor someone. It means all of those. It's not just one. It's that I reverence God and I honor God, but there's also a fear, and so it's the balancing of all of that is what it means to have fear of God. And in this psalm, he talks about the benefits of being a person who has that kind of reverence, fear of God, and who is righteous, who is right with God and does what is right in the eyes of God. And one of the benefits, one of the blessings is, here's how I summarize it, is being righteous and having fear of God gives your family, gives your descendants, your heirs, if you will, a better chance at having a quality life, a happy life, a good life. It gives them a hand up, if you will, so to speak, in terms of the quality of life. Look with me at verse 2 of Psalm 112. He says, his descendants, talking about the one who's righteous and fears God, his descendants will be mighty on the earth, and the generation of the upright will be blessed. When you are upright, when you are right with God and you do what is right, that generation and your descendants will be blessed. It is hard to overcome a family heritage of sin and bad decisions and bad patterns and so on. It's hard. And God saves people and changes people, and they break the cycle, but it's not easy. A few weeks ago, after one of our services, I was speaking with a young man. He and his wife have been married a few years. They have a child, and some years before, I had spent several months doing marriage counseling with them, and God worked, and their marriage grew, and they're still together, and they have a beautiful. And I was just commenting about how big their child has gotten and all that, and he made the comment to me. And I forget exactly how he said it, but it was something to the fact that I'm the only one in my family, and he went on to say what that was, and I won't say that publicly. And I told him that he was breaking the patterns of his family heritage. And he was doing that in a positive way, in a godly way, in a good way. And he was writing a new story, not only for him and his wife, but for their child. And that's the point of verse 2, is that when you live righteous and you fear God, you give your family a leg up, so to speak. You make it more likely. It doesn't guarantee, but it makes it more likely that their future will be happy and successful and so on. And so families that have bad patterns, those patterns tend to get repeated, and it's hard to overcome. Families that have good patterns, often those patterns are repeated, and it blesses the kids. So that's one blessing or benefit of living righteously. Number two is that when we are righteous and we fear God, we don't tend to waste our money and be in just stupid debt the way a lot of people are. Verse 3, he says, wealth and riches are in the house, and his righteousness endures forever. You see, when you live righteously, you don't waste your money on gambling. There's just some sense, and you put God first, and And that makes a difference. And some people just cannot get out of their own way financially, in large part because they won't listen to what God says about these matters. And then a third blessing, a third benefit is being righteous and fearing God, revering God brings more stability to life. Verses 5, 6, and 7, he says, "It is well with the man who is gracious and lends. He will maintain his cause in judgment, for he will never be shaken. The righteous will be remembered forever. He will not fear evil tidings. His heart is steadfast, trusting in the Lord." What is all that saying? Is that there is stability. You don't live in a panic. There's steadfastness. There's a steadiness. You will not be shaken when even when there's evil and things are bad. There's a stability. Living righteously, living in the reverence and fear of God brings stability to life, and that is a great blessing for any person in any family. Now, the truth is, according to research, Americans are increasingly less happy and less satisfied with life year after year. In fact, the happiness score for the average American has decreased since the 1970s. Since the 1970s, the happiness level of Americans has steadily gone down, down, down. And the truth is, because we listen to God less and less and less. One more note real quickly. And we read it in verse 5, but it's in other places in this psalm as well. The righteous man is a generous man. That is a theme in this psalm. A righteous person is not selfish. A righteous person is not tight. He may be prudent, but he's not tight with his money. He's generous. He gives. He helps people. Why? Well, he trusts God. He trusts God. The person who's not generous, when you get right down to it, lacks trusting God. He's generous because he trusts God. And because he knows that helping people and being generous is the right thing. And he's right with God and he does what's right in God's eyes. So it just goes hand in hand. So that's some thoughts from Psalm 112. See you Sunday in church, Memorial Day weekend. Be here. We're going to have a great time worshiping Jesus. Invite someone to come with you. And then Monday, we will jump over to the book of 1 Thessalonians in your New Testament as we start reading those two books. I'll see you then. God bless you, everybody.